British claim is ours.
I'll make this easy for you. Leave now, or we kill you. I'm happy either way.
The time has come for something new. Something to change the game. When seeking fortunes at the fringes of civilization, you need someone you can trust. In this age of uncertainty, it's time to take back your strength. It's time to release the Kraken. Drake Interplanetary. We got your back.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Nice to see you all. It is Friday night. STARJUMP Shipyard. We are live. Appreciate you all coming to hang out. I saw a subscription or two come in. Big Daddy Tonk, thank you for subscribing. Panzer, thank you for subscribing for 3 months in a row. Appreciate that. Cool Bird just subscribed. Cool Bird, thank you as well. Greatly appreciate the support, everyone. We just hit a sub goal, so that's a great way to start the evening. How's everybody doing? How's your Friday night? Hopefully it is good. It's been kind of a busy week for me. I had originally planned to do this stream on Thursday, but didn't end up getting around to it because of real life stuff popping up. Oh, Rage 1 giving out 5 community subs. Rage, appreciate you. Do I have the double salute? This is for you, Rage, right there. Giving you the double, quadruple 07 there. Thanks so much for that support, buddy. Appreciate you. Everyone, make sure you give Rage 1 and 07. Obviously a big supporter during the St. Jude push this past year. And just a great community person. So thank you very much. All right. got some top of show announcements to do as we always do. So let's go ahead and start pushing through those. We're going to switch over here. We might have Execute join us here in a little bit. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But a couple things, though. Obviously, want to shout out iconcity.com. Make sure you go to Icon City to get all your Stream Deck icons. Again, it's great for games like Farming Simulator, Star Citizen, Flight Simulator, all that. And of course, it will work with the new Corsair Galleon keyboard if you happen to check that out. I'm hoping to get one of those. Maybe I should reach out to Corsair. I do have a lot of Corsair products, so maybe I need to make that happen. But make sure you go to Icon City, use the code STARJUMP if you want to get a 10% discount. I'm going to start giving away Icon City icon packs again very soon. I've just been I'm setting up a bunch of promotional stuff for starting in February. Trying to get my shit together. So hopefully we'll be ready to go on those, starting with February's content moving, from February onward. And then, of course, big shout out to Pigeon Spaceport. Really appreciate those guys over there. They're great to work with. They are the makers of the Scorpius model. All ABS injection molded, wings articulate. They are officially licensed partner of Cloud Imperium Games. So big shout out to them. If you're a fan of the Scorpius, you need to go check them out. PigeonSpaceport.com. You can use the code STARJUMP over there for a little discount as well. Obviously, they'll probably make more ships eventually. I don't really have the inside word on that, but I've heard some kind of cool things. But there you go. Pigeon Spaceport and Icon City. Make sure you go give them some support. Make sure you use the code STARJUMP. Get that little bit of discount, right? Got to get in on it. Next, we do have a giveaway tonight. We'll go ahead and announce the giveaway. We're going to do it in, sometimes I do giveaways in different ways. Some people love the stream element side of things. Some people like stream racers. We're going to do it, I flip-flop all the time on how I run those. So tonight, we're going to be giving away another one of the Azrael helmet collections from CC Conversions. Give away the 2-pack there. So if you want to get in on that, it's very, very easy. If you're over on YouTube, the link is pinned to the top of the chat. That'll take you to my first episode of the new player guide. Make sure you go over there. Make sure you leave a comment. I will pull a random comment, and we will, of course, at that point, pull a random comment, and then we will do Stream Racers tonight for all of you on Twitch. We'll pull the Stream Racers winner, and we'll put you both in the random wheel of names. We'll do it that way. So yes, we are doing Stream Racers. So if you're over on Twitch, you don't have to do anything. All you gotta do is sit there, chill out. Here in a little bit, we will do a Stream Racers. It's a lot of fun. It spices it up a little bit. We will get back to some more Stream Elements one where you can buy the tickets and whatnot. But I thought for now we would do Stream Racers tonight. So again, if you're over on YouTube, use the link pinned to the top of the chat. Leave a comment on that video. Share that video with your friends, please. But leave a comment on that video. We'll pull a random winner from there, and then we'll pull the winner from Stream Racers. Put you both in the random wheel of names, give it a spin, and the winner will win one of these really kick-ass helmets. So there you go. Before we get into the main topic tonight, how is everybody doing? Sound off in chat. Are you enjoying now, Inside Star Citizen being back? Seeing Jared's face again, does it feel like the year has officially begun now? Shimpasta says cold, frozen. Yeah, so that's actually a big reason why I wanted to go ahead and do this stream tonight. I was a little concerned that, I'm right in Columbus, Ohio, so I'm right in the path of the cold, and I was a little concerned, if we get hit with a bad ice storm or something like that, then it was going to be problematic to stream, especially if we lose power or lose internet or any other issue that pops up. So that was kind of like why I was like, let's go ahead and do this. Why wait? I know Friday's not my normal night. Usually I try to do Sunday night, but here in Columbus, Sunday is looking real bad. Rough Gaming says negative 45 wind chill here last night. Woof, my gosh, that is brutal. Hopefully you all stay safe. Try not to be out on the roads, obviously. It can be awfully dangerous. I think a couple weeks ago, I had to ride somewhere and there was just a little bit of ice on the road. I saw 6 cars slide off the road and into ditches. So you got to be very, very careful. Questy83 says, you in Ohio too? Yes, I am in Ohio. I'm in Columbus. I'm going to do a STARJUMP Bar Citizen this year in Columbus, by the way. So if you're in the Ohio area, I will be doing a STARJUMP Bar Citizen type event at some point. I just need to kind of work up, what that looks like and all that kind of stuff. So been saying it for a while. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while, but just kind of got to get together and make it happen. So, okay. Let's get to some things. What are we talking about tonight? Well, there's a few things to talk about. Obviously, the PU monthly report came out. We had In Case You Missed It sale go live. We had Inside Star Citizen come back. We had Crafting Tech Preview. We've had 4.6, obviously, on the PTU for quite a while. So we're going to get into all those things. We're going to talk a little bit about all of it. But first and foremost, many of you will know that I am a big fan of base building. I've talked about this many, many times. The base building is kind of the gameplay loop I am most focused on for my future within Star Citizen. And part of the reason I'm so interested in base building is because it ties into so many gameplay loops, right? I think base building is going to sort of be the hub to a lot of gameplay loops, okay? Or in lieu of the word base building, let's say fabrication, right? Building and fabrication, right? So that's kind of where my gameplay future lies in Star Citizen. And we've had a few recent leaks recently in some of the Evo builds that have been quite interesting. I think on the last stream, I showed off some key bindings that had leaked out, right? Well, now the newest thing related to base building that has leaked out is some various base building structures, right? And some editor mode actions and stuff like that. So it's just some kind of interesting to look at. Nothing overly surprising here, but there is some interesting things that at least may give us a little bit of hint into how deep base building will be when it first comes out. In that tier 0 sort of, release. And real quick, everyone, I do believe the bot is running and working. So hopefully it seems to be working. Yeah, seems to be working. But it does give us a little bit of hint into maybe what's coming online in that initial drop from, initial drop of base building when we eventually get it. Is that going to be this year? I don't know, right? But we got living quarters, small, medium, large, construction hub, large, T-junction passage, straight passage, fabrication hangar, small and medium. And then I'm just going to move down here. Obviously, a lot of industrial stuff, liquid extractor, water pumps, solid extractor, fuel generators, all that kind of stuff. The interesting thing that you'll see with a lot of these is that it does list large variants of that. And that's rather interesting because I was initially, suspecting that when base building came online, did we just get a raid? I think we just got raided by someone. Oh, it's the info runners. It's our good buddy Execute and Algrid raiding from the info runners. I was lurking the entire time in their stream. So thank you very much, guys. I do appreciate it. Welcome over. Hope you had a good stream. You're probably talking about a lot of the stuff I'm talking about tonight. So if you're coming over, from the Info Runner stream, we're probably talking about all the same stuff. So this will be the part 2. It'll be the part 2 of that. And obviously, Algrid and Executor, welcome to hop on, either by voice or video, whatever you want to do. But yeah, some interesting stuff here. And it may mean, I mean, we're speculating here a little bit, and thank you for that raid, guys. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. But it may mean that in the initial release of base building, it may mean that we're getting up to large structures. I was originally thinking we were going to get small, medium, maybe even just small, and that's the way they were going to start. But based off a lot of the little strings that have leaked out, you know, small, medium, and large are quite prevalent. I haven't seen any extra large stuff yet, but small, medium, large are pretty prevalent. So maybe, you know, it's very possible for this first release, we're going to see a bigger swath of base building options than even, you know, what I was, considering. A couple of other interesting things that I thought were worth pointing out in here. Obviously, there's some editor mode things, nothing too surprising there. But the biggest one that I thought was interesting was land claim actions, prospecting plot, beacon plot, and create plot. So I'm assuming prospecting plot means you're essentially doing some sort of survey or scan that tells you what... Oh, I hear someone. Who's that?
Hey, I'm just trying to get Algrid in here.
Hey, it's Algrid and execute. Let's see.
Not Algrid, just exit at the moment.
Okay.
Algrid's in the channel above. Can you drag him down?
Yep. There we go.
There he is.
Hello, gents. How are you?
Thank you.
Thanks for the raid.
I think we're both tired now. Hang on. We can turn our lights off now.
Well, we stayed up for an extra... Yeah, we can turn the lights off now. We stayed up for an extra hour just to raid you. So
Yeah, just for you.
That is very sweet. It's appreciated. I went live 15 minutes early because you had said that you were going to raid me. I was like, oh, I feel bad making him wait. So I know you get tired. But anyways, how was your stream? What was the highlight topic of the evening?
Just giving Algrid shit because he was back and Winner turning up, and that was my highlight. Yeah. Anytime I can make Algrid go red, it's a win.
Well, welcome back, Algrid.
Yeah.
And he did succeed. Well, Winner succeeded. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we're Team Algrid now. I mean, you know, we're going to be making him red as much as we can, I think.
So,
Yep. Indeed.
So, what do you guys think of these base building leaks? Am I reading too much into it? Am I too up on the hopium?
I didn't see those, so they're new to me.
Yeah,
anyone that knows, I basically wake up and go straight into a stream.
Yeah.
So and I've been asleep for like 8 hours type of thing, so I've missed the last 8 hours.
So these are, there are more strings related to base building that have leaked in some of the recent builds, and there's, a whole list of actual structures, which is interesting. And what I was telling everybody is that I originally thought that, the first iteration of base building was going to be like just small buildings, like small things, maybe small and medium. But I do think it's interesting in some of these leaks we're seeing up to large. Maybe CIG's intent is to put large stuff in right away as well. I don't see any extra large, but I do see large.
But I do like the fact that straight off the bat we've got the liquid extractor, the solid extractor, and the gas. Did I see gas extractor there?
It was liquid refinery, solid extractor, liquid extractor, water pump, fuel generator.
So we don't have a gas yet, but we've got the liquids and the solids.
A lot of those are not new. They're actually on the slides at CitizenCon.
But it's nice that we're getting them at the same time rather than
I
waiting for them.
I thought an interesting thing down there too was the land claim actions, looking at that with prospecting plot, beacon plot, and create plot. What was interesting to me is prospecting makes sense because I think there's going to be a stage of base building that is somewhat like a survey stage where you see what is in the ground, what resources are there, right? So that makes sense before you purchase it. But then I was a little confused between beacon plot and create plot, and that made me think back to those those land claim beacons. CIG said they were going to get back to us on what that is, how that's going to work. And I didn't know if you guys had any theories. I don't have any theories on how the beacon thing will work.
How big does the plot need to be? It could literally be like a 1x1 square that's literally just a beacon.
That's true.
The original beacons that they had were 5x5 or 8x8.
Right.
But the point I'm trying to make, Algrid, is that the original beacons were actually in space. So how do you do that with the tools you have? Well, you just make it so it's a beacon that you place on the ground. So it's just a version of a land plot.
That's what the stakes were. They were beacons. You put them in the ground. It covered a 5x5 or an 8x8 area, and then you had to once you said, yes, I'm making this claim, then you had to go and fly to the claims office and then...
But go a step further, Argrid. Aren't you also just going to have beacons for exploration to tell people where there's a set of coordinates?
Yep.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you can take it both ways. Is what I'm trying to say.
know, it's it does make me wonder though, because the beacons are not part of any of the packages anymore, like the Pioneer package. So they removed them, and it does make me wonder if there'll just be some sort of like tertiary benefit to those beacons. Like part of me was wondering if the land claim beacon would give you, I don't know, 15% off your taxes if you build your base in UEE space, or maybe they attach some other benefit to having the land claim beacon versus not having it. I don't know if they go so far as to like make it a discount on the taxes, but I don't know. I'm interested to hear what CIG's plans for that is.
Yeah.
I'm very, very, very angry with Altzilla SC in YouTube chat. He says, we really need bacon plots. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm hungry as fuck. I meant to do.
Yeah. But so, I mean, I don't think anyone should read too much into the base building things that have leaked out. Obviously, what was it? 2 weeks ago, key bindings leaked out. It could just be for an upcoming tech preview later in the year. It could come in December of 2026. It doesn't mean it's coming anytime soon, but I do think it's interesting. Some of this stuff is starting to leak out, and it makes me hopeful that base building is not far behind crafting in terms of coming to the verse. Now that we have resource management engineering, we have the physicalization of of a lot of things. We've got getting crafting now. I'm hoping that just naturally and organically goes into base building. So,
well, I think you'd agree that it's definitely got to be on the cards for this year sometime. Like
I would think so.
Intent.
I would hope.
Yeah, and they talked about making it really expansive this year, which just kind of implies to me that they're bringing a lot of stuff in.
Yeah. Do you have something, Algrid?
Yeah, I just think the fact that it's in data mining, been data mined, tells you that it's coming sooner than later. I think
it's something's there. It's being played with in some sort of build. Yeah.
But just looking at the land claim actions, I thought, okay, you prospect it, you put your beacon down, you go and then claim. You then go to the office and make it official, and that's when a plot that gets created is yours. So there are these 3 stages they were looking at.
Yeah. I mean, where I'm going to talk about Inside Star Citizen episode here a little bit later, but I mean, obviously one of the things that Jared mentions in that for this year are Genesis planets. He did use the plural of that. Obviously, we know Nyx 1 will be a Genesis planet. We assume other planets within Nyx will be. And I remember years ago, probably 2 or 3 years ago at this point, when someone with insider knowledge told me that when base building goes online, we'll see it first in Nyx. That's something someone told me. This was years ago, before Pyro had even hit the verse. Yep. And it looks like that could happen, honestly. It looks like that could be the very thing that happens. If we get a couple Nyx planets that are all Genesis, they could start doing limited testing for base building in Nyx.
And here's another thing. With the recent mold virus or problem they've got in Nyx, which is making the citizens call out to the UEE for assistance. Does that mean that, following on the previous message, that, does the UEE adopt Nyx back into the fold? And so do then beacons and land claims actually get policed by the UEE?
Agra, does it go a step further, and is it like the first decision we make as players that affects a permanent change to the verse?
Sure.
They talked about that in the past too, didn't they?
Yep. Do we want unsecure? Do we want part of the UEE so that our land claims are actually policed by the UEE, or do we want it to be not, so it's not policed?
And it's not too hard to see a year that we see, primarily because I think base building, for example, and we've said this on some other shows before too, but technically base building isn't really, it's still just crafting and fabrication. It's the factor, it's the crafting system just on steroids, obviously. It still deals with the quality items, resources being used at different quality levels to create things. The only part of the base building sort of equation we don't have yet from a tech standpoint is the terrain deformation tools, which we know they've worked on as a part of Starchitect and stuff. And then, of course, the drone stuff that base building will use.
Well, isn't it really just the crafting system? But like when you have a fabricator, so you're making items, you're making liquids, or you're making food are the first three little ones. Then you've got the ones that make ships. Then isn't base building just you remove the room and you're printing it with a drone instead of putting it in a room?
Exactly.
They are all fundamental, and that all ties into repair and salvage as well. They're all interconnected systems.
That's right. And, on my last stream, I was sort of recovering the ships of base building again. And, there's another thing to look at here when we're talking about sort of craft or sort of base building, taking essentially a lot of the features from crafting. And you can see how these features that the gameplay features team develop can kind of land in a lot of, it can affect a lot of things, not just the one thing that comes to your mind initially. So, for example, there's two things listed in these placeable structures that's kind of interesting to me. One is fabrication hangars, small and medium. That's interesting. And then the next one is, these extractors, the liquid and solid extractor. That does make me think. On my last stream, I talked about the Pioneer. I talked about how it's got a lot of prerequisites that we don't have in game yet that they're going to need to put that ship in game. Those are two of the things. We know it's going to need resource extraction through the landing gears. We know it has a small fabrication hangar. So when you start seeing these things, you can start seeing how they're going to affect ships and base building and crafting and all that kind of stuff.
Well, it's like I said as well, like I saw them now starting to bring in stuff through buildings rather than build them in through ships.
Yeah.
So, and I think the missing gap here, just to use your Pioneer example, is okay, we've now got a building that can do extraction. The Pioneer is a sum of multiple gameplays. Wouldn't you see them splitting them out and putting that into a singular ship?
Right.
So things like where I was crazily enough talking about the Clipper and the Clipper being a ground extractor, that's still a possibility because it's a variant. You do a variant of the Clipper that does ground extraction, it still could be a thing.
I mean, once the ground extraction tech and the Genesis planets with the resources in the ground come online, I wouldn't shock me if there's new ships that come that are affected by that. I could see them going back to the Prospector and altering that to be able to pull stuff out of the ground. It'll maybe give new usage to ships or to vehicles like the Rock and stuff. I could see that happen.
They have sadly confirmed that it doesn't do that anymore, but they have confirmed that underground extraction is still a thing. So what that means is they've looked at it and gone, well, we can make it so these ships can do surface mining and underground mining, or we can make it so it can only do surface mining, and then they get a whole nother series of ships they can sell.
Yeah.
Because we can now make ships that only do underground mining.
So when you start to look at things like the Arastra, it actually gets worse, not better. Because why would you want the Arastra when it can only do surface level mining of asteroids and surface level mining of planets, where you could have another ship that literally goes into the asteroid and into the planet, and then you've got the Orion. Well, the Orion is essentially going to eat the entire asteroid. It's a different thing all over again. So when you start to break this all down, nothing Algrid and I have said over the years hasn't come to pass. It's just come to pass slightly differently. In fact, it's come to pass worse for us as players. So what we said, Stan, is correct. It's just it's going to take longer to prove it, so to speak.
Yeah.
What other ships can you see there? So you see solid extraction, but you've also got liquid and gas. So does that mean you go back to the Starfarer now that it's the only fuel transporter we know in the game? Do we get a golem that's got two spheres on it and then all of a sudden it carries fuel, or it just carries, it's a liquid transporter? Do you know that boom arm on the top of the golem, does that all of a sudden become a ship refueling arm?
Yeah. Yeah, it does a lot. I mean, again, some of these features here, again, because you have to sort of look at them a little bit like features. you do start thinking about how they could affect, ships and which ships could get what. So it's kind of interesting. And, whether it's a new ship or even an old ship getting some updates. So,
like one of the things you stressed to me early on, X, was that when we're talking design in the game, is that a room, ships are basically just rooms of different things. And they even talked about that. I remember when Disco was talking, I think it was Todd Pappy, and they were talking about space stations. And he was said, well, a planetary city is really just a space station. It's just a different location. It's just rooms.
right.
So ships are rooms and space stations are rooms and bases are rooms, and it's just wherever you put them, the same gaming technique or technology is being used for everything. And so which ties into your point. Yeah.
We did
that
that
ties
episode,
into,
didn't we? Years ago, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah.
But it ties into your point about using the buildings to be where you put in your where you test your tech and you do your tech, rather than putting in a ship where you've got to do more things for it to move around. The build is just there, and you can do the tech and develop it.
Well, it just saves you building the outside ship, because you can just use any room, and the room just becomes universal for whatever the room you want to put inside it. I think it's going to speed up development of ships significantly.
It's again, it's all when you start thinking about some of this stuff as a gameplay feature. A good comparison would be the command module tech that we know the gameplay feature team has worked on, and they really recently just validated. There's nothing to, that obviously that works with the Caterpillar and the Ironclad with its command module thing, but there's no reason to suggest that that doesn't affect other things that we, wouldn't consider. So, for example, would that same level of control translate to something like a ground vehicle that pulls a trailer, where when you connect to the trailer, you have drivable control over the whole thing, or you can disconnect the trailer, just like, and again, and maybe that disconnected trailer is like a mobile home. You know what I mean? There's a lot of places you can go with that. Just the test.
Absolutely.
Even going into ships, it ties in with the Carrack's cargo pods, which could be detached. It ties in with the Carrack, not the Carrack, the Crucible with its Scarab.
With the Scarab,
Well, even the command module. Did you talk about the command?
Yeah.
Was that because again, that works with the Endeavor. It works with trailers. It works with can you have two buildings that connect together?
Well,
so basically, any ship that we've had so far, you can see that as a vehicle and a building.
Yeah.
You can take the gameplay, and we're seeing that. Like, look at medical. After we got all these medical ships, what was the next thing we got? We essentially got some ground. We got the Nurser and we got the Auxiliary coming. Right. So, what is there on that list anywhere? A medical room? Because if there isn't, I find that stupid.
Right.
It's like it's obvious.
No, but there is an upgrade room, upgrade structure.
You know what I mean, though, right? Like, it's obvious. A medical room is like super obvious, but it's not there.
And we see move structure, repaint structure, repair structure, upgrade structure, which is kind of interesting because those are in the editor actions, which is kind of interesting. So maybe within the editor, you're able to upgrade and repair buildings. I thought that would have been like an in-world thing.
Does that mean you go for a small building and you upgrade it and it can become a big building, or
Yeah.
I'm thinking more like the Endeavor Superglider, Algrid, when they say upgrade room. That's where my brain goes.
Okay, yep. But because that was in the editor room, that made me think it was actually changing the actual structure itself. Upgrade structure, not upgrade room.
Yeah.
I think some of those editor mode actions are basically for when you're in the level editor for the ship, for the buildings. So that's not renamed structure as it was called Algrid's Outpost Steakhouse, and now it's Grimm's Devil's Emporium, or whatever. Yeah. So that's more in editor mode things. So, I mean, upgrades. Yeah,
it's just interesting to see that stuff starting to percolate, and it hasn't. We've got the leaks there. Obviously, nothing's been talked about, publicly like they have with crafting and the testing there. But I could easily see some testing going on mid-year this year, and then when we get to IAE or CitizenCon towards the end of this year, I could see that being like one of the big things they talk about. Hey, base buildings now hitting the verse. You know what I mean? And you can you know, because that feature alone is not just going to land on. I personally, I don't think they're going to just put that in the game on like in April or some random month. It's a big, you know, top tier feature.
That's going
people
to be a
been
big
waiting
one.
for. Yeah. So
well, you know, look at what engineering's doing to the game. It's all that all over again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, and you think engineering is not going to be needed for our bases?
Exactly.
You know, you'll have power modules and shields and everything on our bases, and we're going to need to maintain and hold them, and it'll be the same if you're under attack. You'll need to repair and do the engineering stuff and put out fires and whatnot.
Yeah. And again, I mean, there's a lot of cross-pollination between all those things, you know. I mean, we've heard for a long time about how, you know, the buildings and structures that we'll build are going to have essentially component or resource management going on with them. I mean, they have the same system that the ships have. They're probably going to be able to catch fire and all the things that happen within a ship. So again, the features that have been developed for one thing are going to affect another thing and another thing. And hopefully that all leads to faster iteration as we get going forward, because a lot of those foundational tech is there. So for example, one of the things that was in that list for the bases was repaint building, repaint structure. And I've long thought that one of the primary reasons we don't have the ability to paint our ships whatever we want isn't a tech issue in terms of the paint system. I think all that's pretty much there. I think the actual issue is no one's had the time to build the user interface part of painting your ship. You know what I mean? And because let's face it, the ship representation, the ASOP or when in the vehicle loadout manager app is kind of garbage. It's not good for painting. So I think with bases, maybe your camera goes to a third person kind of view over your structure as you like choose the paints with like UI. They may bring that over for ships as well. We may finally see ship painting become a thing. I don't know. I'm speculating, but
I'm just noticing a couple of people in chat there saying, like Prison says, cool, I didn't think of engineering for bases, and Serious Fun says, neither did I. Well, let's go a step further. Did you think about salvaging buildings?
Right.
Yep. And repairing buildings.
And repairing buildings, because it's all part of the same system.
Yep.
So,
I know we've talked about it.
We did talk about it. Like when the Fortune came out, we were like, well, maybe that's what the Fortune's built for.
Yeah.
It's predominantly designed to land on a planet and salvage buildings, as opposed to the Vulture. Because if you think of how the Vulture works, it's not really, it can't really salvage when landed, but the Fortune really can.
I mean, I would, I would even go a little bit further with all this for those that didn't know, because CIG has talked a little bit about this before in terms of bases, but inside bases, I fully expect to see fuses and essentially a relay system.
Well, they showed them.
And that's true. They did show that.
We know it. They do. Yeah, exactly.
But I would expect to see components. I don't know if it's going to be the same components that ships use, but I guarantee you there's going to be some sort of power plant or life support, you know, modules and stuff like that. And you're going to have to work on and keep those up just like you would in a ship. Dan, thanks for the subscription.
They talked about shield generators, base defense. God, I'm trying to think of other things you could have. Do you have armor? Do you have a more armored building that's a more defensive structure?
Right. Yeah.
And depending on the planet would depend on whether you need life support or whether you just need climate control.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. So do you need, life support's definitely going to be a thing then. Is it a really cold planet so you need heat?
Yeah.
Which would fall under life support as well.
Exactly.
Man, it's actually a different set of things.
Yeah.
Really, it's similar, but it's slightly different.
It starts to get deep, and then that's going to affect things also like repair, tuning. Again, it goes into crafting. You're going to be able to create buildings at different quality levels using different quality materials. They've talked about that. So there you may be able to build, for example, if they ever do bring those solar flare things back to Pyro, you may be able to build structures eventually that have certain attributes that have a higher solar radiation shielding level. Who knows? But you get what I'm saying.
They told us that was a tech issue. John Crew, when we sat down with them, said that's a tech issue, so it's coming, but they're just going to make it. But the same thing, like, do you need a gravity generator in a planet that's got lower or higher gravity to normalize it out for human?
Yeah, Someone in
Yeah.
chat too said, what about the space stations? Will they work like this? Absolutely, the space stations will. Yeah, that was hinted at too. There's an entire engineering section for those. They're going to have their own components. They're going to have their own, relay systems and all that. As a matter of fact, that will probably take it to a whole other level. You know what I mean?
Well, I just remember when Disco was talking to Todd Pappy and they were talking space bases, being able to build bases. And Disco said, does that mean we can build star bases?
Yeah.
And the answer was, yeah, because it's basically the same system. It's just in space.
Yeah.
I think the only difference is that I'm sitting here thinking of it, trying to lay it out, is the only one I can really think of is like if you do shields, is the shield meta like its own building that's kind of outside that covers an area, where if you have a shield on a space station or a ship, it's a part of the ship or it's a part of the space station. I think that's the only difference I can think of.
Yeah.
When I really work it through. So some of the components might be outside, but they're kind of like interconnected.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Interconnected because they're on the same land plane.
Yeah, or connected by wires or whatever you want to call it. Fuses. So it's like a ship, but there's no body of the ship. They're all just discombobulated over in the area. Yeah. And they're all just in their own little shells.
Yeah. And then one of the things they showed when they in their original base building demos, they showed, it was very brief, but they put down a building, and when they were in this sort of build UI, it showed that building did not have power until they put down a power structure. And there's probably a distance limit to that. It needs to be within a certain distance. It's very Sim City-ish. By the way, we just had who gave out Serious Fun Games just gave out 5 community subs. Thank you very much, Serious Fun Games. I'm going to put the old double salute up for you too, because you deserve it. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Argrad's waiting for his invite. Serious Fun to Quantum Vegas. Just saying. Just saying.
So I want to swing over to monthly report, and you guys feel free to chat as much as you want about this stuff. But monthly report came out.
I did intend to go through this, but we never did.
Yeah, so I usually don't cover.
We ran out of time.
I usually don't cover all the stuff. I usually cover ships and maybe any core tech stuff that seems important on Shipyard at least. But for ships, it was quite a bit of info, so we're going to go into that now. So in November and December, we're extremely busy month. Obviously, they finish up all the ships for IAE. That goes without saying, so they just call that out. And then here it says, in the UK, progress was also made on numerous vehicles coming later this year, including the Gatak Raylan, which entered production in mid-November with the initial artists building on the pre-production work done during the white box phase. So that's a little bit interesting. That's kind of the first time they've mentioned building off of existing work that had been done at the concept stage. So I always hope that they did that, and maybe that's just something they've never laid out, but it's nice to hear that they do that, because if they didn't, that seems like it would be awfully limiting to start over from scratch. So nice to hear that the Raylan is in production starting in mid-November. Pretty large ship. I would imagine it's got a bit of a runway on it. I doubt that could be ready by Alien Week for any of you thinking that it would be an Alien Week ship. I don't know. Seems like a tall order to have it ready by June.
It's a similar thing with the Galaxy. Let's just say the Galaxy kind of started production, and that's going to be out by the end of next year, and the Raelian's smaller again. So
it's possible.
I would tend to agree with you that it's probably a little bit too early for Alien Week. But
I will say this: if the Raylan does come at Alien Week, and that's a huge speculation, but if it did, and if the Galaxy indeed comes this IAE, then it's quite clear that CIG has been able to accelerate their ship timelines a little bit.
If it's going to be IAE, I'm probably more likely to say it'll be next. Alien Week. It'll probably be next Alien Week.
Yeah,
not this Alien Week.
Says here, gold standard work on the Aegis Hammerhead continued. Areas were refined across the ship, as well as breaking out various parts into an Aegis kit for use across future ships, as per MISC, RSI, and Drake. Now, the interesting thing about this one, because I did think this was interesting, is they reference having to sort of start breaking out an Aegis kit, and that is true.
That word,
I haven't
used that word.
What's that?
Starting with N. He's going to use that word. So
I am, but I'm going to get there. Yeah. But you read my mind. But
I knew where you were going.
One,
too fucking well.
Surprising that there's not already an Aegis kit fully put together, seeming that they have so many ships that use the same pieces. But yes, as you predicted, hopefully when the Aegis kit comes online, that means they can move into the Nautilus without much downtime. But Aegis, from a manufacturer standpoint, I think there's only, if I'm not wrong, I think there's only 3 ships that are not released from the Aegis lineup, right? That would be the Javelin, the Vulcan, and the Nautilus.
Yeah,
I think that's it.
If you could hear my eyes rolling right now.
Hey, I'm telling you.
That they've told us about.
The Nautilus should have come out with pyro. That's all I'm saying. It would have been the perfect test bed to practice minefields with. So,
I just think they break up as they work on it, the ship, or as they do the gold pass, and they go through the ships. Because how many of the Aegis ships actually enter the gold pass?
Well, here's the other thing:
there's a lot that need it.
If they're making a kit for Aegis, doesn't that also imply future ships beyond the Nautilus?
Possibly. It could. It does. It could also help with things like the Reclaimer rework at some point, which we know is going to have to get some rather hefty interior reworks. Yep. We know that.
We don't have a Corvette from Aegis. I guess you could kind of say the Reclaimer is in that ballpark, but I'm talking a more military one. We don't have a. I know. I guess you can say the Nautilus as well, but I mean like you look at the Polaris, right? There's the Odyssey, the Polaris, and the Liberator. They're the only 3 ships in that. Oh, and I guess you could put the Reclaimer up there as well. Yeah, but
and yes, Sand Chimera, you are right. They did say the Raylan was coming in 2026. We're just specifically referring to Alien Week. It seems awfully short. Yep. That'd be about 7 months of work time for a ship that is a large alien ship that has a lot of complex moving parts on it. It seems like a tall order to me.
And the other thing that goes with the alien ships is there's not much in the library of
the kit,
stuff for that ship.
And Banner is literally all completely bespoke, every single ship.
Yeah.
So Solomon said, what did he say? I've lost what he said now. Isn't the Hammerhead a Corvette? And this is something that me and Algrid learned when we sat down with John and Ben at CitizenCon that really surprised me is they have this ship size that they call Corvette, and it doesn't follow their own metrics because, for example, a Polaris is a Corvette, but so is the Ironclad. And yet one is an S4 size ship and the other is an S5. So they are just, that just doesn't kind of work from their own conventions.
Yeah.
And so they it makes it really confusing sitting on the outside looking in, where they're kind of making up their own rule. That they've made these rules, but they're not following their own rules.
Whereas I would have thought. Keep going. Sorry, X.
Well, I was just going to say, like, you look at all the ships you can throw in there now. You can chuck in the Caterpillar. You can chuck in the Carrack. Like this size of ships is so large and varied now because of what they're done that they can't follow their own metrics. But if you all of a sudden go S5, there's only 3 ships in the S5 category, and that's the Polaris, the Odyssey, and I believe it's the Liberator and the Reclaimer. Maybe the Reclaimer.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, there's a lot of ways you could spend this from a lore perspective, obviously, but it could also be that different manufacturers have different classifications for those ships. So like Drake maybe considers a Corvette a different type of thing, but I don't even think CIG's following that sort of logic with it, right? So
the point is, regardless, say you chuck the whole thing out, right? They need to actually nail this shit down because it's just gone on for so long, and they've broken so many of their own rules. And you and me and Algrid could sit here and spin off probably 100 at this point. Yeah. Right? Whether it's lore or metrics or whatever. But if you're going to have a hardcore audience, you are going to get these. Like, I'm not the most nerdy person, but I feel like a complete uber nerd when I talk about these things. But all I'm wanting it to be is concise. So I can follow it. I can't, like, it's got, like we were talking earlier today about. Well, we were talking about the naming conventions, weren't we? About Argo, Algrid, weren't we? Right? Yep. And they've now, and that's not even the worst example, but now they've got 3-letter acronyms, 4-letter acronyms, and 5-letter acronyms.
Yeah. Well,
they've broken the shit out of that they might as well not even have any.
It's just you do hope that at some point there is some some formalization of some of this stuff, just for our own obviously knowledge, but obviously so that they can sort of factor where ships sit in terms of scale, not just size. I'm talking like scale in terms of like power, shield generation, all that kind of stuff, instead of just winging it per ship.
And we've got some of that, but
yeah,
how
we have
can
some
you
of it,
literally, like, how can you look at that Polaris or Odyssey and say they're in the same size class? Because this is the thing that pisses me off, right? And this is where it becomes really important, right? So I'll make it really clear to you. The Polaris has, as an example, has capital components. The the Ironclad and the Hammerhead do not.
Right.
So they have to be in different size classes because they have different sizes of components.
Yeah.
They're breaking their own rules. And I
would say, the Hammerhead and the Ironclad are in the same size class. I'd say that
agreed.
From memory, I think they're the Nautilus was in that kind of same ballpark. The Carrack.
Yeah. All in that like 125 large range,
were corvettes as opposed to.
Can you chuck the Carrack in there? Because I think the Carrack is one that's really important to have in there. And the reason is the Odyssey is an explorer, as is the Carrack, but the Odyssey is capital and the Carrack isn't. And why is that? Literally the size. The Carrack is 126, 2 meters longer on that Carrack, and it literally would be a capital.
Yeah.
But it's not.
It's the same size as a.
Actually, the Odyssey. I forgot. The Odyssey is at 140 meters because of its antennas. That's the other crazy thing. The ship itself is roughly the same length. Yeah.
But that's all it takes, right? And it's the same thing with the new Mole variant that we saw today, right? Yeah. They said it's a large orange ship, but the thing is, the Mole is a medium. So how did they make it bigger? Well, it's got this claw on it. Now, if that claw just adds a couple extra meters, all of a sudden it falls into the large size category. It was the same as the Apollo. The Apollo was 43 meters. It was barely a large ship by 2 meters, and now it's 61. Well, it's well and truly into the large class. So they keep changing their own things, and
and yes, the Odyssey is definitely fatter than the Carrack because it can store a Hawaii.
It's taller. It's taller as well because of that hang on.
And there's also a big difference too sometimes between ship size and actual usable space on the ship. There's a lot of ships that are big that have a lot of unused space, right? So
just real quickly for the audience, can you turn the Carrack and the Odyssey side on? Because I think just even looking at it really quickly, it does show that they are not exactly the same. Because often when we're looking at JPEGs like this, things change really quickly. So, and again, that looks weird, but you got to also remember that one was fatter, and then in certain parts it's taller. So they almost look like they're the same size, but they're actually, because of that borderline, one jumps the line and becomes a capital, and the other's not.
Right. Yeah.
And it's really important to you need these
and one's
lines.
got capital components and the other doesn't, and that's the big thing.
Which is what it really comes down to.
Remember as well.
Yeah. Moving along, they do say the Miss Hull B passed its white box review and moved into gray box. That's good to hear. Says the Drake Ironclad and Ironclad Assault and Command Module progressed through their gray box reviews. In December, the Ironclad Assault received particular focus after the base ship resolved a lot of required core setup. I assume that just means the Assault is sort of moving a little bit behind the main Ironclad in terms of its development. And they says the first playable review gate of the command module's functionality was completed mid-December. I had someone in my Discord just the other day asking about if we still think that the Ironclad feels good for Invictus, and actually based off it just getting its gray box review finished, I think it is looking good for DefenseCon, because that gives them about 5 months to get the ship to final art, have it hit the downstream teams, and get all the marketing, flight ready sale stuff finished and ready to go, the trailer and all that crap.
And technically this was the November, December report, but the stuff that happened here would have happened in October.
Right. And I mean, they say, and they say that the gray box review, well, they don't say when that happened, but they did say that a lot of this stuff was finished in December for the Ironclad, but still, still that puts it in a good position. Again, 2 ships, Ironclad, Ironclad Assault, 5 months to push for Defense Con. That seems realistic to me. And I have a feeling with the Ironclad, again, it's borrowing heavily from the Drake kit. They said when they were initially developing the Ironclad that it was kind of visually further along than what you would expect for a ship in white box. Well, now it's in gray box. I'm sure that kit is still affecting every phase of the ship. So even in gray box right now, the Ironclad probably looks further along than most ships in gray box. So anyway, it's cool to hear those. I still think confidence is very high for an Invictus or Defense Con, whatever you want to call it, Ironclad release. So that if I'm a betting man, that's still where my money is at. I would assume you guys agree with that.
The only thing I'd say is, like, if they drop one off, it would be the Assault because of the Fabricator. But again, look at what's happening. It looks like crafting's coming in, fabrication's coming in. I think we can kind of safely say that's the plan.
That's the plan. So, I think it's dead on. Yeah. I think what will come with the Ironclads, especially the Assault, is the repair room for the vehicles. Was that supposed to have anything more than just being a place where you can hand repair vehicles?
I think it's hand repair and a fabricator, pretty much the same fabricator that's on the Clipper.
Yeah.
Literally just a size 1. Because again, you're making components for vehicles. You're not going to need bigger than size 1. So that's it.
By the way, everyone, don't forget, I am giving away one of these Azrael helmet collections. So if you want to get on that, you're on YouTube, make sure you go to the link pinned to the top of chat. Leave a comment on that new player guide video. And if you're on Twitch, you ain't got to do shit. You just got to hang out because we're going to do stream racers later.
Did you see in the video where they released these, if you actually go through the video, the characters don't have necks? They didn't put any people in the suits. Yeah. It's, Bob's pointed it out to me. It's so funny. You can actually see a gap in the yellow guy's neck, and there's just nothing there.
Yeah, they did a great job on those helmets, I will say.
Yeah.
So Ironclad Hull B trucking along. Hull B obviously going out of white box and has moved officially into gray box. Personally, that to me means the Hull B is probably a second half of this year's ship.
Well, I think the next bit of news is the most important of the whole thing. A future best in show contender, the Grey Cat UTV.
Right, the Grey Cat UTV.
Been looking forward to this one for a really long time. I'm really stoked for it.
Yeah, Grey Cat UTV also continued through development, including updates to the dashboard after discussions with UI on how best to integrate the required screens, as well as motion capture session to add new enter-exit animations. So that's really cool. The UTV is actually the one that I was sort of most interested in, so I'm excited to see what comes of that. Obviously, a little ground vehicle, so it could drop pretty much any time.
If that comes in, I'm very tempted not to do the 85X anymore and just troll the fuck out of the marketing team and do that because that
new soul sounds. Hope nice to see you, buddy. Yeah.
I know we haven't got to it yet, but going back to the Ironclad, it's interesting that the Kraken is also finishing up its white box in February.
Yeah.
Or expected to finish up its white box in February. So it seems that they're actually working more on Drake this year. That if I was going for one company that they're focusing on, that would be just based on that. That would be
they're all over. They're all over.
But I know they're all over.
There's definitely a big Drake footprint.
Even John and Ben said that they don't like working on just one. They want to.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's definitely a big Drake footprint. Even just taking, the Ironclads and the Kraken as part of the development pipeline, that's a huge footprint. But I would expect us to get at least one other Drake ship this year. Maybe it's a Clipper variant, maybe it's something different, but I would expect at least one more thing from Drake.
I will be utterly surprised if we don't see at least one Clipper variant like that thing. Like you and I have been through it, Grim. Me and Agard have been through it. It's really obvious. There's just too much space in that thing in particular rooms to not have variants. And look at what we've been seeing over the last couple of years, just variants on variants on variants. I think we looked through the sale that's up there today for the Last Chance or whatever it was called, and there was literally 7 new ships last year out of 24.
for.
Like non-variant ships, yeah.
Yeah, non-variants. And you go back through it, and it's like, you can't tell me that we're getting 27 new ships. They're mostly going to be variants, you know?
Oh, yeah,
and I wouldn't be
I think
surprised if at least, you know, like the top two for me, for Clipper, is the ground extraction and like the Slave 1, so a bounty hunting variant. You look at the Intrepid,
yeah, I mean,
it's the same thing, a bounty hunting variant and a data runner. I can see those.
Yeah, I mean, again,
so, yeah.
I've said this before, but I think when you consider some of the big like backlog ships that are finally getting ticked off, I mean, we just have to expect some variants. It's just, I think it would be impossible for them not to.
Well, me and Agard were talking about the Reclaimer, right? And like, we're getting into rework territory. Does it get really scary now that every time they decide to do a rework of a ship, they also decide to spin it off and turn it into a variant?
Yeah.
And Agard proposed, what about like a gas collecting variant of the Reclaimer? And I can scarily totally see that.
Well, look, hey, all variants aren't bad, though. Some good ones.
Some are better than the original. If you look at what I'm calling the Vol, or whatever it ends up being, the Mole spin-off.
We're going to talk about that
shortly. It actually makes more sense than the Mole.
Yeah,
because of the multi-use of the turrets. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
Well, I think a repair variant for Argo or a salvage variant for Argo makes more sense than a mining variant in lore.
Yeah.
Just from a lore perspective.
Yeah.
It makes more sense. Do I mind the mining variant? No, but I would have preferred to see a salvage variant off the cuff originally, just because to me it fits better with what they'd established as a law for that company.
Yeah,
but we know the CIG don't follow their own law.
Well, you can go the other way too. Do they? Because it's got drones, they turn it into a base builder that literally lands over what it's building and builds underneath itself. Like, there's all the. That's the thing. Like, they've now made it to the point where they've muddied the water so much that you can almost turn any ship into a variant of another. Because that it's all universally done through this rune system, it's only now a hop, skip, and a jump to get to something else.
Yeah. Next thing they talk about here is that the third in the series of large RSI ships, the Galaxy, has entered pre-production. This one was obvious. I think this particular call out probably is from like October or November. At least I would hope, because again, if you go back to previous ships, we knew how long they sort of took. They've talked about, you know, what that runway looks like. But let's assume the Galaxy, let's just play devil's advocate and say it went into pre-production in December or November. That means it's got 12 months. And it's a modular ship with, we assume, 3 modules at launch. That seems like a pretty big undertaking. Now, again, that's old thinking. We know the ship team has grown substantially. We know that they're working off RSI and other manufacturer kits now. They probably made even more efficiencies in the pipeline. But if they can churn out a ship as big, 110 meters, and modular like the Galaxy in 12 months, that is impressive. GearCon, thanks for sharing 100 biddies. I appreciate that, buddy. Thank you very much. Hope you're doing well.
Also, originally the Galaxy was meant to come out before the Perseus, so did it have some work done on it beforehand? There's a whole bunch of things there. Yeah.
Oh, and real quick, a brought off Serious Fun Games, Star Citizen fan, Carmine. Thank you for those follows. Appreciate it. Appreciate that support. But yeah, I mean, it's again, that would, depending on when the Raylan hits, when the Hull B hits, when the Ironclads hit, when the Galaxy hits, I mean, it is looking like there's been even more changes on the ship side. I would assume, the ship team side of things, I would assume that the closer Squadron gets to being done and released, the more people that were on Squadron can switch over to the ship team. That could be modelers, it could be animators, riggers, whoever they're bringing on board to do stuff.
Well, even gameplay designers, because
gameplay designers,
once the gameplay is kind of locked in, you need less and less of them. It's generally, you know, you can pull an art person over just to quickly fix something. It's generally coders at the end that are fixing bugs. Yeah, you know, they're the main people that are going to move over at the end. And
for just so everyone understands, the Galaxy, a lot of people don't realize this, the Galaxy is technically larger than the Perseus, not by much, by only 10 meters, but the Galaxy is still a pretty substantial ship here, and it's a ship that will more than likely borrow extremely heavily from the Zeus and Perseus kit. It's going to pull a lot from that. So hopefully they have a lot of that in place. I mean, I still hope that the Galaxy has a little bit something special inside of it to make it feel unique, and is not just you feel like you're in a slightly different laid out Perseus. But
there's some other things though, like you can see a lot of the frame of the ship is really like in this rectangular block, and it's got all these wings that it doesn't so much need. It doesn't really have the guns. Like it's pretty much got two chin guns and a couple of turrets, and that's it. So it's completely undergunned compared to the Perseus as well.
And yet it's the same class of ship as the Perseus in terms of size.
This is one of those ships. It's funny, we mentioned the sort of the exterior aesthetic of the ship. This is a good example of one of those ships where its interior space is not as big as its exterior space. Like it has a lot of area on it that can't be utilized for internals. So, it's one of those ships that kind of suffers from that.
It might look larger, but really it's smaller. It's almost like it's oversized, and we've seen that in some other ship designs before.
What I would like to see though, with the going back to the Galaxy here, what I would like to see with the Galaxy is, and I think it's going to do this. I'm not saying that CIG is not on this path, but I personally hope we see a little bit of that Salvation type RSI industrial stuff come into the Galaxy a little bit, just because again it does have an element of industrial gameplay to it. I'm not saying it's a full industrial ship, but obviously there's some of that.
On par with the Galaxy here having a refining module, we saw in the base building ones there before a refinery module. The Expanse is a thing. I would not, this is a large ship. The Expanse is essentially a medium. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get like a Connie sized refinery ship. I wouldn't put that off the cards either, because again, we often see when they do work on something, it's a new ship that it comes in with, and it's rolled out to the old ones shortly after that. So I would say the Expanse would almost come after whatever that Connie-esque size ship is. And is it Consolidate Outland? I'm looking at manufacturers that don't have that smaller, large size, and there's not a lot that don't. I mean, or is it just another manufacturer we already have? Like, is it a Drake? Is it a Misk? Like, you can pick anyone. Like, it's just it's really hard to tell.
What I will tell people, though, for those of you that are excited about the Galaxy, are looking forward to its release, I really don't expect a lot of changes beyond its concept. I think it's going to very closely mirror the Perseus. I think we're going to kind of get what they already laid out. Maybe a few nips and tucks here and there, a few little extra things.
You mean by kit, yeah?
In terms of kit, exterior look and feel, obviously it's going to get greebled out and look great, but it's going to, I don't think it's going to grow any. I think it's going to be probably around 110 meters. Again, it's a newer concept ship, so supposedly, talking with Gavin Rothery and these newer ships were definitely built to scale, and there's no reason for it to grow. So.
You can see the kit in there, like it's got the Perseus bridge. It's got the Zeus looks, the Polaris looks. It's got the engines and that, like a lot of that style we've seen in other ships.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's kind of interesting. Like that is something you can probably pull, is that you're going to see things like the Perseus bridge, that got redesigned a little bit, that canopy glass, that probably is going to be lifted and put directly into the Galaxy. I think we're going to see a lot of that happen, actually. So
I think we'll even see the Apollo's med bay type. Art.
Yep, agreed.
Back banged into that.
Even exactly. I can see parts of the Apollo engines on the back of the Galaxy and stuff, right? Not all of it, but I can see, so they're essentially gonna kick bash it off the others, and that's why it's being sped up significantly. Because the other thing is, because it's not hard to do with the rooms, because as we kind of said, like there's a lot of exterior space in this ship. They've got room to work within it. So they can bang it out fairly quickly, because they don't have to pack it in like a Perseus, or those ships that don't have a lot of space, like a Carrack. It's not like that, so you can kind of play around with it a little bit.
Moving on, though, they do say that 4 currently unannounced vehicles progress through the pipeline. The ship closest to release passed both its white
Hermes.
box and gray box reviews. Yeah, it could be the Hermes, with only a few minor technical details needed for further iteration. The second is progressing quickly due to the availability of its existing brand kit. The third passed white box following a hugely successful concept stage. And the fourth, it says here, and the fourth from a manufacturer that hasn't been worked on for a while, entered production after the initial concept phases resolved issues with its interior components.
And that's the Argo.
Yeah.
And then if you kind of go back and look at the other two, you can kind of nail down what they could possibly be as well. So,
yeah. And again, these are probably ships, especially the ones that are passing through, their white box and gray box reviews. We could, again, we're supposed to get ships or at least it seems like we're going to get a new ship every 2 months. Probably a couple ships every 2 months, especially if they're released in 27, and we're supposed to have a patch about every 2 months, according to Jared. That would mean every patch we're going to see 2 to 3 ships, probably.
Yeah. Well, you look at the brand kits. They also mentioned, I don't know if it was here or somewhere. Yeah, they did. Misk, RSI, and Drake. Yeah, they're the kits they mentioned, right? So that basically means that second is progressing quickly due to the availability of its existing brand kit. That basically tells me most likely it's a Misk, RSI, or a Drake. So yeah. Oh, I think he's got wife aggro.
My daughter.
Wife aggro.
My daughter.
Daughter aggro.
Obviously,
is that what that was? Or?
Yeah, well, I was asking for a charger. As per the ship in the thumbnail, of course, says here, the North American teams continued to work on the Kraken. Drake's capital ship continued through the white box phase, with the goal now set for its white box review in February. The team made changes to the interior to aid navigation throughout, as well as simplifying methods of moving vehicles and cargo around. Those of you that watched the previous stream I did on the Kraken, you'll remember that one of the main things I said needs to get reworked on this ship is cargo, in terms of how you move cargo through the ship. And they do say here that, let's see, let me go back to it. It says, as well as simplifying methods for moving vehicles and cargo, especially with the latter traversing through the ship. A lot of work was done to ensure changes have no impact on the privateer variant when that goes into production in the future, meaning that it's not in production now. The team also held a walkthrough meeting to show the ship ahead of the formal gate review, preparing the downstream teams for the sheer scope of work required. Obviously, the ship is going to require a lot of work from the downstream teams, but a couple interesting things I think we can, pull from this. That's the kind of big news in regards to the Kraken. One, the privateer variant is not in development. That doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, obviously there's going to be some work done just by purely making the base Kraken, but there's no NPC marketplace gameplay. So why would the privateer go into development? It doesn't make any sense.
But even saying that,
yeah.
Solomon chat real quickly just says, I do hope the Kraken privateer owners get the Kraken base as a loaner. I think that's a given.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's a given. But even as you look at that, as they're going through their white box, their walkthrough, and simplifying the methods of movement, a lot of the work they did, even though they're not working on the privateer, a lot of the work they did was to make sure that what they were doing didn't impact or would have no impact on the privateer. So,
right,
even though it's not in production, in a sense, they've done some pre-production in a sense, making sure that it doesn't get interfered with. So they don't want to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, and again, it's nice to hear that on a big ship like this, obviously extra work and attention's got to go into things like not only thinking about the rooms and the layout of all the rooms, but they've got that air car to think about. That's part of the ship. Yep. There's internal hangars that you have to think about. But more importantly, again, cargo, how to get it from the hangars to the cargo bay or from the landing pads to the cargo bay, which I think is the bigger issue with the Kraken. A lot of people obviously ask, and I think I saw in chat earlier, someone saying, do you think the Kraken's going to grow, or do I think the main landing deck's going to get any bigger? I'll be honest with you. I don't think the Kraken is going to grow at all. I recently asked Gavin Rothery about that specifically. I think I forget my exact words to him, but I said something like, "Hey, do you see the Kraken growing? Is it to scale? Is it to metric and all that?" And his words were, "It was built exactly to scale." So I take it is probably not needing to grow substantially. So
when we spoke to Ben and John, they said, they were talking about the Kraken, and they said, "Oh, we could put stuff in. It's got basically oodles of space.
Yeah.
It's got they've got space to work with."
Talked about med beds, didn't he? Was what he?
Yep. When I was talking med beds, and I thought we could put one in. We've got heaps of space.
Yeah.
So I don't. Just to reiterate what you're saying, I don't think it needs to. They'll grow it. They'll just use the space better.
Yeah, I'll swing over here to my, where is it? Turn my main screen on here. Yeah, I mean, this is something I pointed out on a previous stream. When looking at the Kraken, I identified a few areas that would need to be changed, like the main deck here having these elevators, these big cargo elevators in it that could bring things down. So maybe they would move down, and bring the cargo down. But then to do that, you're going to need to add additional structure, which I kind of did here, that allow a traversal path for the cargo elevators to go down and head towards the air car, to where those can be transferred to the air car. Again, that stuff's going to have to be figured out to some degree.
Have you seen how they do it on regular aircraft carriers? It's more like the mini hangars on the side. They actually drop all the way down, and then you can just roll the plane out, and then it kind of comes up on the outside. They tend to have lifts that are external because you just don't need the space.
It's an interesting thing too, because another interesting part of the Kraken, we've talked a lot about this before too, is and a lot of people don't realize this, I think the Kraken has the most entry points of any ship, at least that I could find. I checked through this one day. So the Kraken obviously has entry on the port and starboard airlock doors. It has a ground elevator here up towards the nose. It has the bottom cargo elevator down here. It has a door leading up to the bridge area here on the main kind of central superstructure. It has this red door, and then swinging over here, you have all these doors that lead to the interior of the Kraken as well. So it's just one of those ships that there's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of issues with it they got to figure out. One of the other things they got to figure out with this ship is how they're going to deal with gravity control on the decks, or even if they are going to deal with that. I'm assuming that's going to be part of engineering gameplay. Yeah, we do know that's coming, but being able to control the gravity on the deck of the Kraken, I think, would be big. So I personally suspect the Kraken's going to be much like the Ironclad, and it's going to probably hang out in the white box and gray box phase longer than a lot of ships, because a lot of things have got to be figured out.
Don't know about you, Agrid, but based on all those entry points that Grim just pointed out, I think we can safely confirm that Grim is now going to call his Kraken the Leaky Sieve.
Yes. Yeah, of course. Of course.
It's interesting that I can remember them talking about when they talked about the Crucible. And the Crucible being the premier repair ship, they made it with lots of exits, lots of egress points, so that you could get to the ships you were repairing quickly.
Right.
The negative of that, they said, was that there were lots of entry points for you if you were trying to attack the ship or board the ship, which meant the defense problems you face with a Crucible with lots of entry points is exactly the same problem you'll face with Kraken with all its entry points. So it's just just an interesting side point.
Yeah. And for those, I've seen this question pop up a few times. Will the deck sizes change? I don't think so. I don't think there's really a need for them to change. There's one important thing to remember about this large deck on the Kraken. It's not for large ships. It was designed literally around the Cutlass series. It's meant to carry. This deck is meant to support 2 Cutlass Blacks or 2 Cutlass series ships, going all the way back to the original concept brief for the Kraken. The primary thing they list for the Drake carrier was that it carried 2 medium ships. That was the the ship brief call out. It wasn't, as a matter of fact, it wasn't even slated to carry these other ships, like the smaller ships with like the extra small hangars and stuff. The brief originally just said it should be a ship that carries 2 medium ships, 2 cutlasses. So personally, I don't think they're going to redesign this deck to carry like, oh, it's perfect for the Caterpillar. I think you're going to be able to land bigger ships on it like the Caterpillar. I just don't think it's designed around that. As a matter of fact, there's no carrier that holds over anything over a medium ship officially, right? The Idris and Javelin, I think both are medium carriers, right?
I
think the Javelin's
supposed to be able to carry
a Retaliator was what it was on the thing.
Javelin was built to originally carry a Retaliator.
Right.
Yeah, so that would be
not a Retaliator, the Redeemer, and the Bengal could take the Retaliator.
Yeah. How big is the Retaliator? Or not the Retaliator? I thought it was with the Redeemer. So it's meant to hold a Retaliator.
So the Redeemer for the Jav.
Stop. You're getting confusing. So the Javelin is technically would be what would be classed as a medium.
Yeah.
And the Bengal is literally classed as what would be a large. So don't call it in ships because that gets confusing. Try and use the size. But you got to remember they're older ships, so they're not symmetric. So that's why they become bespoke like the Carrack.
Going back to one other thing about the Kraken, I know people, especially talking about the deck size here. Another thing I would expect, because, when they said they were going to do a, step back and look at the concept of the Kraken and kind of bring it up to spec, a lot of people messaged me and were like, oh my gosh, the Kraken's going to look different. They're going to change it. I think the Kraken's going to look exactly like you've all known and love. It's going to look, it's going to be the aircraft carrier ship we all know. There may be some additional things on the exterior, you know what I mean? Like, again, I was pointing out these little cargo shafts here for the elevators, not saying that that's going to be their solution, but you can expect some stuff like that. But I think in general, the overall look and feel and scale of the Kraken is going to remain the same. I've done this before in stream, but I'll do it now as well. Like if I pull up a Kraken in Fleet Viewer here and I move that over and then I do a landing pad. So let's do a landing pad. I'll do a capital one. Yep, my computer is beastie. And I go to top-down views for that, which is to scale.
No one can see this. No one can see it, by the way.
Okay, sorry. Let me switch screens. Thanks. Let me go to top down for this. There we go. Is that let me bring this up, move it up. I gotta learn all these new things here. Where is the move up thing? See, I gotta find this. Oh, here it is. Move forward. There we go.
See what happens when you change your program?
Say what?
Yeah.
See what happens when you change
I
your
know,
program?
I got to confuse myself. But as you can see, the Kraken in its current scale is like using every bit of capital landing pad real estate. So I can guarantee you that's going to be a consideration for CIG in considering any scale adjustments to this. It could maybe grow a meter or 2, 5 meters at the most, but it's not going to grow substantially. I would get it out of your head if you think the Kraken's going to like move up to like 350 meters. There's no reason for it to. It needs to carry 2 medium ships. It already occupies the entire capital landing pad. So I do think it's going to settle at its current scale. I don't see many big changes like that. I just see a lot of interior changes with the Kraken coming. So
I think at the moment
and just on that Kraken there, you can actually see where those 2 medium landing pads are.
Yeah.
Which makes it just
exactly. You can see the 2 medium pads.
Isn't it the biggest ship now that can land?
It is, yeah. It's the biggest that can land. Yeah. There are bigger ships, obviously. The Hull E and the now the Hull E may be able to land if it's retracted and folded, but when it's fully deployed, I won't. The Javelin cannot land. A lot of people have asked me if the Javelin has landing gears. I can confirm it does not have landing gears. I've checked. There are no landing gears on it whatsoever. But the Orion doesn't seem to have any as well. And then obviously the Hull E is a little bit of a question mark. But
from memory, the Javelin and the Orion were the 2 ships that were always in space. I think and the Endeavour.
Yeah. Some people have asked about the Pioneer. The Pioneer is smaller than the Kraken, just so everybody knows. It's still it's a monster. It is a big ship, but it's not as long as the Kraken. It's a little shorter. It'll fit on the capital pads just barely. So,
but yeah, there's that crash landed Javelin that flew into Daimler.
Yeah.
There's a couple of Javelins I think that crashed. But yeah.
And then last here, they just say 2 announced vehicles were also worked on. The first ended 2025 with a review gate in preparation for its early 2026 release, which is interesting. That may give us a hint on either a ship coming or vehicle coming, in 4.6 or maybe 4.7.
I think it's different. It has to be a vehicle because they announce them separately to the ships.
Yeah. And they say that vehicle. So, like ground
but what
vehicle.
interests me there is the team working and focusing on its unique hero runes.
Yeah.
I actually think one of those might be the salvage variant of the and I'm brain farting. Oh, the Atlas.
Yeah.
Because we're getting the other salvager. Have they finally put in the work on the Atlas to bring that out? And there was a new Atlas skin coming for Chinese New Year. Well, why is that the case?
Yeah.
Why you're working on the Atlas? Obviously, at some point. Well, if you're working on the Atlas, what are you doing?
Right. I mean, it's another ground vehicle we've heard of was actually 2 we've heard. 2 we've heard of, and third that can be considered. The 2 we've heard of, obviously, is the whatever that Gray Cat MCV or whatever that one's
MFC. Just call it the Gray Cat Fab.
The Gray Cat Fab.
I'm done with this shitty naming.
And then there's the Anvil Auxilia, right? We know about that one. And then
you get that wrong. It's exhilarating.
It's the Anvil Exhilarator.
I don't know what it is with Americans, but they can't say quill. They can only say
we
kill.
Can't.
You and your bloody guns, man. Kill. It's
quill. We do the best we can. Okay.
This is my gun, and it's awesome.
Another ground vehicle that I think is mostly done, but we still shouldn't forget about it, especially going back to our conversation at the beginning of this show surrounding base building, is the CSV FM. Another ground vehicle that I'm sure is getting some sort of work, and we could see, this year. So, real quick.
That's probably true. That makes a lot of sense. A base building vehicle. Yeah, I 100% agree with that statement.
Yeah, it makes sense. I wanted to pull this up. Obviously, the thumbnail for today's episode, I put Kraken progresses, and obviously it is. It's one of many things we're talking about tonight. But I pulled this up again. As many of you know, I did a Shipyard episode where I dived very deep on the Kraken, and people seem to like it. But it's always nice to sometimes go back and sort of refresh yourself. And for those of you that have never seen it, I think you would have only seen this. It's with the original concept. I think it was the original a Jump Point magazine image. It's not actually on the Kraken pledge page or anything, but it's this cross section which kind of shows the general layout of the ship. I mean, I expect a lot of this shit to change, to be totally honest with you. What all do you guys have any specific changes you hope come to the interior of the Kraken, or maybe new stuff that is not currently spec'd? I mean, we know it's supposed to get a medical rune. That goes without saying. But is there anything specific you hope comes to the Kraken in its development phase?
Just you can kind of tell the Kraken was a bit of a product from its time. Like you and I have watched as they've updated the exterior a fair bit over time. It was real. What we saw when it was first sold was clearly kit bashed as hell. And it didn't really have an interior or anything like that. And I just hope it's a little bit more concise and worked out and planned. And I just have a massive feeling that there's going to be some. Like they're learning, like how Ben talked about what he learned with the Perseus, and then he's taken that back and applied it to the Polaris with the signage and stuff. I just hope that they're listening to a lot of this feedback and taking it on board, because my biggest problem with the removal of concept sales is we're going to get more disasters like the Starlancer, and that was one that was completely done in the dark, and they're going to have to go back and make some drastic changes to bring it up to par.
I mean, yeah, I've said that many times before too, about it's the one thing that makes me nervous about no new concept stuff is there's no and maybe CIG didn't really even take this into account. I don't know, but I feel like we lose a little bit of that backer vetting phase of some of these concepts.
But by the same token, they're not going to want that with a whole bunch of new people coming in, right? I can see why they're doing it now. Just real quickly, someone said a fab room. Well, you don't really need a fab room because this has got 2 hangars on it for repair anyway, and they would have fabs as a part of that repair stuff.
And to be totally fair about that, because it's a good suggestion, but I would counter it with you're going to be able to put a fabricator in any ship you want because you can move them around.
Yeah.
If anyone did any of the Evo testing, you could totally move the fabricator wherever you wanted. So,
but you've got to remember that this ship actually has 2 internal small hangars.
Yeah.
And CIG did say at one time, when people asked, could you combine them so it was a bigger ship? They said, if it fits, you can basically repair it.
Was it small?
I thought it was two like fighter size. So not.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah. It's they're supposed to be extra small, I think.
The side hangars were big enough for the Buccaneer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and in the artwork, you actually see a Buccaneer in there being repaired.
Would be nice if they could repair a medium. So maybe just 1 medium or 2 small. That's kind of how I.
Well, they did ask about that, and I can remember it basically. If it fits it, you could do it. So could you?
Yeah, maybe.
But,
there's not a lot of headroom there. That'd be the biggest issue with a medium ship going into those hangars. It's not very tall.
And there's something you said too, Grim, with the Dragonfly Bay. I think that probably needs a bit of an overhaul, like you stated, where it probably should now accommodate not maybe just other bikes, but maybe like, would it be a cool option, say, if you could, could you dock a cutter? Or could you dock a command module or something like that? Like it make that a little modular so you can customize a little bit to your own Drake personality.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to see, for those that have never seen this, these doors do open. I'm going to move the keyframes over. So you can see here, oops, let me go back to...
Well, you can tell from back in the day, this is an updated model, but back in the day, for those that don't know, they were literally ripped straight off the Caterpillar and stretched.
Yeah, they were. There's actually a lot of stuff with Drake like that makes appearances in other ships. So yeah, they're 2 separate moves. Now, one thing I will say, I did directly ask Gavin Rothery this one time, and that was, and I'll just do it live here while I'm on stream. Let me find the piece of mesh. So this is the sort of exterior hanger.
You can see what I'm saying though. Instead of having that 2 modules like that are ripped off the Caterpillar, imagine it's just long one and one door. And why can't you have it so it just repairs 1 medium or 2 smalls?
Yeah,
like, that's how I would design it. And this is what I mean by future proofing. Hey,
no. One thing I did ask Gavin is, I said, well, couldn't you just take these 2 small hangers on this side, duplicate them, move one over? Let me reverse the axis on that to -1. Essentially, move it over and just put it over on this side of the ship, right? And now in here, it's kind of eating into some of the cargo bay a little bit, but. Well, I guess it does on this. But so anyways, I had asked him, I was like, would something like that be possible for the Kraken? Now, Gavin's reply to me was, no, it wouldn't work due to how the interior is laid out. Now, he may have just been saying that to kill dreams. I don't know. But I personally think that would be a nice addition to it. I don't think the Kraken's going to get anything that substantial, though, in the way of changes. Again, there's already a lot there. I mean, it's going to be a ship that can carry the most ships out of all of them. You know what I mean? 2 mediums, 4 smalls, and 2 extra smalls.
Yeah. So
also, as long as it's got the fabricators, as long as it's got the fabricators, as long as it's got the fabricators, it doesn't mean you can't bring the components up to the medium ships on the deck either.
Yeah. Go ahead.
When you said 2 extra small, were you meaning 4 small on the decks and 2 in the hangars, or were you meaning?
Well, so here's the way I look at it.
Those pads are actually listed as extra small now.
Yeah, so they're all extra small. Now, the only reason I say 4 small, though, over here, is because while these are extra small, you technically can get small ships on them just fine. And here's where the discrepancy is. If you go back and look at Kraken concept work, even when the ship looks exactly like this, like it looks like an aircraft carrier, you will find two different types of pads on the starboard side. You'll see this version, which is this is the model from the trailer, the Kraken trailer.
Yeah.
But there's another version too. And in that other version, these landing pads are smaller. They actually don't go out as far as these. If you look at them, they actually only go out to about here. So they were a smaller pad originally, and CIG made them bigger. It actually made them longer. So I don't know if they're still technically extra small, or if they were just originally spec'd extra small, or if there's a discrepancy there. I'm not 100% sure.
I always thought because it had the interior, the cargo, the repair area,
Yeah.
was repairing, like when you see the artwork, it's repairing their fighter, the Buccaneer.
Yeah.
The surface, these pads on the top, the smaller pads, were made to take the Buccaneer, and the two big pads were made to take the Cutlass.
Yeah.
So that was always my
that was always
understanding.
the plan. Yeah. I mean, if you look at this image here, I'm going to bring up this image for everyone to see. You'll notice in this concept image, which is on the sale page, if you look at these pads, see, they don't go out near as far as they do on the actual cinematic model. Here, they're much smaller. And I don't know if this is why they're labeled extra small, but in the actual model, they go out much further. I don't know why that change was made.
But there you go. You got the original plan is the Buccaneers on those pads, and
but you can technically land a Vulture on here. I've actually brought in the models. You can fit a Vulture on these small pads over here now. To give you an idea of their scale.
It'd be pretty missed to not allow every fighter, or at least small fighter, like, so when you go into things like some of the bigger ones, they do, like an Ares starts to go to a medium pad. I think it'd be pretty amiss to not allow every fighter in the game to somehow land on this thing. Yeah,
right.
And I think that was it. I think that I would guess that's why the pads are grown, not so that you could put Vultures and stuff on, but so all fighters would.
Well, I did actually. One of the variants I've talked about with Grim about this is like literally putting one shop and a refinery on it, and then you've got the ability to land Vultures and Prospectors on it. It would literally make it like a salvage refinery, like a hive swarm miner or hive swarm salvager.
Yeah,
it would be a really cool variant to have for this.
So this is the Vulture. I mean, when I say it fits, I mean you could squeeze it is what I'm saying. Sort of it fits, it sits sort of thing. But you can see here's a Vulture on the pad. Now, obviously, I'm scraping paint here. I realize that, but it's a pretty decent sized pad now. You could fit a host of ships on there if you wanted. And if you didn't mind part of them hanging off the deck, you could fit even more, you know.
By 2 meters, the Vulture's actually a medium, so it should be over on the other side.
Right. Technically, it would be over on the other side.
I would have thought.
So you want to pick a Prospector or a Misfortune because they're technically.
Yeah, it easily fits those. Yeah.
Because I would have thought the Vulture is definitely on the other side, like you just said, X. It just to me it's.
Yeah, I'm just using it to illustrate the scales.
But it's this thing where they don't have clearly defined barriers, right? And even like you said here, they pitched them as small and they've made them bigger themselves. Well, why are they doing that? Because they've realized their mistake and they haven't been following their own metrics all these years, and it's coming back to bite them now. Like it would have just like when everything's in neat little boxes. Let's be honest, we're trying to do that ourselves. Everyone tries to put everyone else in boxes to try and understand them and make things easy to understand. Well, when you don't do that, it leads to things that have happened where they're really convoluted and really hard to understand. The CCU upgrade system, like
here's
they've just done it from the beginning.
Just so everyone has an idea again. So here's a Vulture, a Prospector on that small pad. Extra small
that fits it nice.
Fits it nicely.
Yeah, nice and neat. Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's our Kraken. I mean, obviously, moving through production, I personally hope on the interior we see things just appropriate for a ship of that scale. So, obviously, we're going to get a medical wing, but I would personally, I could see us getting a brig. I could see us getting a large armory. There's no armory listed on the cross section as of now. This is definitely a ship where we could see maybe, obviously there's the captain's room, but there could be an XO room as well. They originally were supposed to have that on the Polaris. It went away to make room for more habitation, but I could see that coming to something like the Kraken. Now, here's the interesting thing about the Kraken, and the Polaris was like this as well. The Perseus has been like this, and I think the Perseus may be too, well, I'd say the Polaris and Perseus, both successes in this. We're starting to see more big ships being created that were not Squadron 42 ships and built for Squadron 42, like the Idris and Javelin are. So it'd be interesting to see how they feel. You know what I mean?
Quick question. Didn't they say something about putting escape pods on this thing too, from memory? And the other two that I'm thinking of is like you mentioned an armory, but a brig and I wouldn't give them the shooting gallery though because it's Drake, but a brig might be of worth.
But I like you look at where the pilot cabins are.
Yeah.
Down at the front, basically near all of those small hangars, or you know the pads. You come down into the hangar there. Now that almost has a feel of. Those hangars are not for, those rooms are not for regular crew. It's for transient crew.
Right.
And yet if you're operating as a capital ship, you'd almost expect to have, and you're doing a carry, you'd almost expect to have a briefing room and, almost the Idris briefing room because you've got so many pilots.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. That makes a lot of sense.
Whereas the Idris has two pilots, but it's got a briefing room for 50.
Yeah. I could definitely see something like that, especially with the fact that this ship also has the Dragonfly Bay. Now, if it stays a Dragonfly Bay, we'll see. But when you consider how many ships this carrier can service at one time, including the Dragonfly Bay, it really does make sense that you would have some sort of larger briefing room.
And do you need the individual pilot rooms, or do you actually make more of a crew bunk area, or group them together in a different area rather than just have them on this long corridor? And
yeah, I thought about that before too. The only counter to that I thought about was with the privateer. I could see people landing on the ship to go to the store, and they want like a private place. Although at the same time, like, are they really staying overnight on the ship? So it's an interesting point.
So I could see that, and like you said, I could see that for the privateer. It makes more sense for the privateer, but for the base carrier, it makes me scratch my head a little.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to tap out soon. So
no worries.
Talk about the Vol before.
Let's talk about the Vol real quick. We'll come back for those of you on stream. We'll probably come back and talk about the Kraken here a little bit more in a bit. Let's talk about this ship though. Let me bring over the image. There we go. I don't have it animated like you had, but we can talk about this. I will point out something. I will point out something real quick.
Here.
You did get your silhouette.
I'll give you the animated one.
Take that. Okay. And that should give it to you. Animated.
Okay, thank you. I will say this, Execute. You did officially get your silhouette. Okay.
Yep. You got your silhouette to work with.
You did get your silhouette.
Smart ass.
Yep. Okay. He wants more though.
So
he's not satisfied with one.
No, just click the play button.
Oops.
Just click the play button.
Okay.
Oh, you just reset. You recopied the link. You just reset it.
Okay, let me redo that. Sorry about that. It's my first time using whatever the hell this is.
It's just Loop Tube.
Okay, I just hit the play button then.
Yep, you just click the play button. And it should just
finally
turn off the volume.
And then full screen it.
Okay.
Yeah, and turn off the volume. Yep, and just full screen it. It just loops.
Do you get the feeling that CIG with this really obnoxious graphic is just trolling us with our silhouette video requests? And they're like, let's make a silhouette, but let's make it so obnoxiously loud that...
Well, they like trolling, so I think we just meme them back. We're just...
Yeah. So let's talk about this ship real quick.
Maybe we should do this, and who's this host, and just put Disco there. Or something,
And for those of you wondering if this feels like part 2 of the Execute and Algrid stream, yes, it's part 2. I don't know what to tell you. I scheduled this for today. I just magically scheduled mostly after their stream, and it's the same. I'm not going to talk about something wildly different. We're talking about the same stuff.
You never do it on this day. So
no, can I tell you the reason why I'm doing it today? Because we're supposed to get a really, really bad winter storm, and I was concerned that maybe I wouldn't have power for a while. So I was like, let's do it tonight and get it over with. But let's jump into this one. So obviously we're thinking this is the mole variant. It looks very much like that. Salvage ship. We can see the big disintegrator arm on the front. When it rotates, I know on your stream, you guys went in depth on it. And then, one of the things I said, one of the things you said is that this is actually probably the better of the mole variants for salvage because it makes more sense.
Yeah.
I think I'm excited for it. I do like the mole. It's not my favorite Argo ship by a long shot. I do like it. It feels a little clumsy sometimes with all the little delicate parts and pieces that seem like they can break off. But I do think it'll make a good salvage ship. Will I purchase it? I don't know. I think this is going to be one of those ones that really comes down to some of its specifications, some of its specs. How big the buffer is, what its carry capacity is for salvage material, all that kind of stuff, how it functions. So what do you guys think?
There's not a lot of ships from Argo, and again, I'm just sick of the cheap variants.
Yeah.
So, I know I'm probably in a minority there, but yeah,
Yeah. I mean, are we thinking...
I like it as a...
Go ahead.
I like the idea of it as a salvage ship.
Yeah.
I think it's much better than as a mining ship. My question is, how much cargo can it carry, in terms of salvage? Yes, it's going to have the RMC and the construction materials, but how much components or weapons can you store and salvage? And I think part of my gut says it won't have too much because then it's treading too much on the reclaimer. But
yeah,
that's the type of thing But I ask.
Yeah. I mean, are we expecting this ship to come with 4.6?
No.
This
is I think he says in the video it's a preview of ships coming later this year. So,
okay.
Okay.
But we'll find out more about it next week when they do a video.
I just when I work through it's not next week. The Hermes is next week.
That's right.
But when I walk through what's in the mole and then I kind of look at what's required for a salvage ship, I just don't see how you're going to make it work because you look at the mole, you've got the living quarters with the kitchen, you've got that sorting corridor down the middle, and then down near the elevator, you've got the essentially engineering room. You kind of need all those rooms other than the cargo room, than the storage room. So it's like Agrid said, where does all those components and that go, and what gets put into that room?
Yeah,
and what else gets cut?
Yeah.
So
Cameron asks, "Will this ship be soloable?" No, Cameron. This is meant to be that step where you go from solo salvaging to multi-crew salvaging. So this is that ship that changes that. If you want to stick to a more solo experience, then at least right now, the Vulture is the largest of the solo salvage ships. So
yeah, I'd say this probably is going to be 3 to 4.
Yeah,
to be honest. And that's based on the mole.
And
what's the crew count for Reclaimer?
5.
Yeah.
You got the captain and the 4 bunk beds, if you remember it.
And with these salvage ships, it's important to remember that they've already laid out that all these salvage ships sort of specialize in a certain type of salvage, or they're stronger in certain areas over other areas. I think they said the Reclaimer is able to pull a ton of stuff, but it's at a lesser. I forget the specifics.
So it's quantity over quality,
right?
And the Vulture is quality over quantity. I think this is the middle ground.
Yeah,
I think this is the versatility option.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
You can kind of see that is in there's no real laser on this thing, right? Well, there might be, and when I say laser, I mean the thing that breaks the ship up like the Reclaimer does, right?
Yeah.
The Reclaimer's got sorting on it, and it's probably going to have some form of refiner or something like that. But you look, why is there a missile turret on top of this thing? Where you look at the Vulture, and the Vulture actually has blast charges, and that's how it breaks the ship up. Does this thing shoot ships with missiles to break them up?
That'd be one way to do it. See, then it need to be a Drake ship. It need to be a Drake
middle
ship.
ground? What's the middle ground between blast charges and lasers? And
Yeah,
also, there's clearly no space on this thing for drones.
Hey, Griffin, hope you're doing well, buddy. Yeah, I mean, here's what I would say about this ship. Is it overly exciting? No, because it's that variant. It's not even just a variant. It's most likely going to be a clone of how the mole functions as well. At least that's the vibe we're getting with the silhouette we're seeing here. So from that standpoint, it's not super exciting. But I do think it fills a needed gap in the salvage line. Yep. I do think that there is plenty of room for a salvage ship somewhere in that like 70 to 90 meter range. So not somewhere sitting in between this and the Reclaimer. I do think there's a place for that. I don't know how that would function any differently than this. I think it would really just come down to being able to stay out longer. Versus having to come back with your haul. So I don't know. We'll see where that goes. But here is the thing. I mean, with this ship, they really have been pushing on salvage ships for a while now. We've got obviously the Salvation, the Fortune. Now this will be coming. So they've really been pretty aggressive in filling out salvage ships. So who knows? We still could see another one after this. We'll have to see. Maybe that's leaning into that whole idea of, the industrial stuff, industrial gameplay coming to both Nyx for industrial gameplay and mining and salvaging coming to Nyx, hopefully later this year through missions and content.
Okay, I'm just gonna throw something out there, and I know this is not the case, right? I just want to state this before I go into crazy territory. I am not that crazy. Devil's advocate mode. Yeah. Right. What if this is not Argo, but say something like Gray's Market?
It would. Yeah, it'd be interesting, wouldn't it? It'd be interesting.
Just saying. Just flirt that idea, because we're literally looking at a mole that clearly has a missile turret on it and a robotic claw.
That would be a real.
So it's worth considering, right?
And it's a salvage ship, which kind of links with the whole Gray's Market salvaging of ships sort of thing. Yeah. That would really spice this up quite a bit. But
so they took a mole and then converted it into something for their own uses.
Yeah. If that's the case, I would expect to see some additional changes to this, where maybe it's borrowing some different engines or something like that. But we don't really see that.
Could it literally be the claw off the Reclaimer attached to the side of a mole? That would be hilarious. Let's just be honest. That would be funny as.
That would be cool.
It's not a Reclaimer claw. It's a retractable antenna. It's doing data running. Yeah. Totally. But no, I think it is a salvage ship. Just to clarify that I'm not advocating some weird other design.
I think it really, like as I said now, with Gray's Market there, it does put this kind of is it or isn't it a thing. Like we went through this with a couple other ships last year too, so it's really interesting to see if they do something akin to that.
Yeah, and then obviously, while we still have you, they released another sneak peek of our Hermes, which we know is coming. Again, I'm very much leaning to this being just a cargo ship. Not that they couldn't bring additional gameplay to it later, but I think when it's initially releases, this is going to be a cargo ship, which would fit very nicely into what CIG has done over the past 12 months with ships like the Asgard, the Prowler Utility, and stuff like that, where they just sort of make a general purpose ship to counter the niche ship. So, it was, they sent the sneak peek here. In the ISC, though, there was also a little moment of the Hermes flying through the air. You could barely catch it, and it was really, really tiny, but, it was something
very tiny, but you did see it briefly.
So much detail, much wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, we are expecting this one soon. We are expecting this with 4.6. Not that they will surprise us and it won't come with it, but, that's what we're thinking.
We had a couple of questions from people there too, like can those side doors open Like, is it a side door and you can load the cargo in via the sides? You know, there's still a lot of cool little questions on this one. You know, Algon and I flirted with the idea of, well, if it is modular like the Apollo, can you put in data running modules? I cannot escape
rooms or
something like that. But the point being is, I cannot escape the name of the Hermes. I just can't escape it. Like, it's just so inherently linked with data running.
Yeah. Cameron just gave out 5 community subs. Cameron, thank you very much. Salute to you. Pop up the little 007 for you because you deserve it. Appreciate that. Thank you. Everyone give Cameron an 07. One thing I will say about this Evocati crafting test that we just went through is, thanks again, Cameron. Appreciate that, bud. Is that now I look at ships like this as like, is this a potential crafting ship? Because I could just put multiple crafting machines in this, fly around to wherever I want. You know, so I am starting to think of things a little differently. And if in the future there are things like the crafting machines that are more modular that we can put on ships, we could really start to turn some of these general purpose ships into niche style ships. You know what I mean?
Just kind of realized I missed something. That's not a room anymore. Like, it's a weapons rack and suit locker there and a component room. It's not a room. It's almost like they've pushed it back up against the wall.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming this terminal is an engineering terminal.
Yep.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a big kind of open bit of space here.
Yeah, they've cannibalized those little cargo rooms and pushed them back.
And shoved them.
Yeah, but still too thin at the back to do that. So, but if it's just a cargo ship, God, I'm going to be disappointed it's such a wasted name.
But again,
we'll see.
It's not that I go back to that thing where, like, you know, we're talking about the crafting stations, but part of me wonders in the future we can't put, as long as it goes on the actual grid so that the ship can recognize it's there. Couldn't there be like a big bank of computers, like a big data center row that you can put in there to like enable your ship to do that stuff?
And that's not beyond the pod.
It's kind of like we said. CIG have actually stated before that data is a form of cargo. So yeah, you're right. It is a cargo ship. It's just, are you going to put in a data module and data banks, or are you going to put in a cargo module and take cargo?
Sorry, and then you've also got in the past we've had bounty hunter pods. Cargo. So they go in the cargo pods as well. So since we've already got that, has been stated as something that will come with bounty hunting, where you put the pods on the grid.
Yeah.
Then why wouldn't you be able to put computer terminals on the grid? So,
yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, I've even talked to other people about this, about tier 3 medical beds being something that you could just place on a cargo grid. Now maybe it would have to be the bed and like a power supply or something, or like a gel dispenser thing, so it takes up 3 or 4 of your cargo grid parts. But I personally would like a future where we have a little bit more of that granularity with our ships to sort of tune them in terms of their role.
Yeah, and that would time with what CIG originally said about ships.
Yeah,
I know you'll remember. I don't know if you do, Grim. But back in the day, it was you had upgrade points,
right?
And you could do, you could turn you had X number of points. You could put anything on your ship. You could. They used to talk about, slapping a mining laser on your Hornet and going mining. It was that type of do whatever you want with your ship. So if there is that granularity that you can do and put different things on your cargo grid to change the function, then that kind of goes back a little bit to what they originally talked about.
Yeah.
Before things became more complex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good point.
In chat real quick.
It's a good point.
Who was it? Someone said it. Sorry, I've lost the name because the chat scrolls so quick. But they basically said they'd love it if they use this kit on the Galaxy. Well, I think that's a given.
They did. Yeah, they will.
Parts of this ship, it all goes into one big kit, and every ship they add to the kit, it just makes it quick. That's why the Galaxy is going to be done so quick, because it's probably one of, not the last ship, but probably one of the last ships that they need to really do at the moment for RSI.
Yeah, the RSI ships this year are probably going to be the last ones they do for a little while, because I do think the Orion they're going to hold on for a while, maybe even post.
Well, it's also
a different style. So
different
I
style,
mean,
industrial.
this, you've essentially got civilian, military, and industrial from RSI.
Yeah,
and then on top of that, you've also got the modern and the past.
Yeah.
And so far, we've really only got one ship in their industrial style.
Right.
Yeah, that's Salvation. Yeah.
And a lot of people liked it. So hopefully we'll see more. I mean, the Arastra, yes. Thank you, Jen Tonic. Yeah, the Arastra.
But that's not out yet.
That's not out yet. Yeah, and it remains to be seen if they focus on it after the Galaxy. So,
but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they flesh out that style, and we won't see the Orion until that style.
That's what you're. Well, that's what you're implying, right? You're implying that they're going to do their Salvation, and then they're probably not going to do the Arastra straight away. But like, I would think you guys would agree with me, right? So now they've done a small ship in the Salvation. Do they now do a medium, and then do they do a large, and then do they move on to the Arastra? So you can see the hop, skip, and the jump pretty quickly, and then after they do the Arastra, do they do the Orion? And all of a sudden they've built this whole
library out.
Whole library of industrial for RSI. You can see it. And why are we saying it like this when we talk about other manufacturers that they just have one style? Well, the RSI is the oldest manufacturer in the game. They've got 900 years of lore. They're probably going to have more detailed chips than any other ones we've seen. But you do see it a little bit in older manufacturers, like in a couple of them now. So Aegis, we have industry and we have military. Anvil, we also have Jace Aerospace. To give an example, we've got the Hurricane and we've got the F8. Both are heavy fighters. One is from the distant past and one is very modern.
And you're going to see that with some manufacturers. The same thing with Drake, where Drake's just a popular manufacturer. So obviously there's a ton of Drake ships. So it's, sometimes it's just depending on lore. Sometimes it's just sales numbers. Sometimes it's just they got a broader kit. And sometimes it's just vibe, they just determine that, Argo is going to have I'm not saying they have, I'm just saying that, just an example, maybe Argo has, a thinner or a leaner ship, roster. So we'll see. But
now, Restream Bot says, pulling up Measly 2 from YouTube says, Arastra requires the Expanse to nail down refinery gameplay. But if they do the Galaxy, and they do the refineries on the Galaxy, they can nail down the
Galaxy might be the first one to come for player-based ship refining.
And they can take all our bases.
Yep.
Going back to the leaked documents we were talking about earlier. As we're saying, we're looking at a room. It's no different from a room on a planet or a room on a ship. And, if you take a caterpillar and put it on a planet and remove the command module, that's basically rooms on a planet.
Yeah.
It's no different.
So yeah, I agree. Real quick, I'm going to get to the giveaway. We got a giveaway to do. X, don't stay any longer now. Go get some food. Go get yourself some rest. Someone said you had to eat.
Yeah, it's time I have to eat. I'll have to go soon too.
That's all right, guys. I appreciate you dropping by and let me pop in your stream. For anyone watching that wonders why we all kind of filter into each other's streams, because we talk ships all the time, and we like to
talking ship.
We like to cross pollinate, and you all in chat are part of that. You can circulate and all that kind of stuff. So, X Algrid, I hope you have a good night, and I'll stay in touch.
Yep.
Good night, Nick.
Cool.
Good night. Good day, everyone. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody.
Yeah.
It's giveaway time.
All right. And I think I'll take the time and disappear as well.
Algrid, thanks for coming on, buddy. I appreciate you. I need to have you on as a formal co-host soon. Do a guest host run with me.
Love to do that. Just got to find the time.
Yes, I know. We're on opposite sides of the world. So
always the hassle these days, finding the time.
Yeah. Well, have a good one, man. I appreciate you, and thanks for hanging out tonight.
Oh, look, it was a pleasure. It was an absolute pleasure.
Cool. All right, everybody, we're going to do the giveaway now. So as you know, for those of you on for those of you on YouTube, there was a link pinned to the top of chat. This would allow you to leave a comment on my new player guide video, and you could leave any comment. It could be hi, hello, how are you, all that kind of good stuff. Keep it real simple. And I punched in the time when we started the stream, which was 7:45 p.m. tonight. So we're going to go ahead and pull a random comment that was laid after that date. So if you're over on YouTube, good luck. We're going to start Stream Racers here in just a second. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'm going to do this real quick. Let me go ahead and start Stream Racers so that you all can start entering it. Okay, let me hit stand by. It's not up yet. It's not up yet. The exclamation ticket thing isn't working, everybody. We're doing Stream Racers on Twitch tonight. Bear with me. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I got to get that set up, and then I'll allow you all to join the race. Let me get a new game. Stand by, everybody. Okay. Okay, you can now officially do exclamation race to enter the race. Exclamation race. Okay, perfect. You all are entering the race now. Great. I am going to go ahead and draw the YouTube comment though now. So good luck if you left a comment over on the YouTube channel. Hopefully you are the semifinalists here. Okay, and remember everyone, this is for the Azrael helmet collection set. Both helmets. That is the prize tonight. Let me go ahead and draw the random comment from YouTube in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, Latassi Tio is our semifinalist. Congratulations. I'm going to put you in the random wheel of names here because you are a semifinalist. Latassi Tio, if you're still in chat, congratulations. We're now going to do Stream Racers. We'll put the winner of Stream Racers in here, and then we will spin the wheel. Okay, let me switch over to my main screen. Okay, we have 85 racers. Anyone else racing? Do exclamation race to get in on it. Okay, if you've never done Stream Racers, remember everyone, if you're on a straightaway, which you're going to be watching a little bit of a delay, so this is going to be hard to figure it out. That's the fun. That is the fun. Don't get frustrated. But you can do exclamation boost to give yourself a little bit of a boost, okay? All right, we got some more people coming in. I'm going to start the race in about 10 more seconds, so go ahead and join. And I'll try to keep up with the action as best as I can, okay? All right, everybody, we're going to hit start. 20-second countdowns begin. Make sure you get in there if you haven't already. Exclamation race, exclamation raced. Good luck. Good luck to all the racers. Hopefully you do well. I have faith in you. I think it's going to be a good race. What do you all think? Riggsy says, exclamation boobs. That is not going to work. That is not going to work for your speed boost. Sorry, bud. All right. Here we go. And our racers are off. Whoa. Devouration got off to a very strong start. There comes our field of racers. Oh boy. Oh my God. Cars are flying in the air. Although most people did pretty good boosts, actually. They stayed on the track. Let's get a nice position here. We'll watch people come around the turns. The Super Shoes currently in first place with the Rinkin 03 in second and Devouration in third. Coming around our little corkscrew, mountain corkscrew here. The Super Shoe still in the lead. Going down to this little hairpin U-turn. Oh, we've had a few people fly off. Good luck. Super Shoe wrecked. Step Aside Citizen drove into the mountain. Shylock just crashed. Rinkin just hit the wall pretty hard. We're watching that top-down view right now. Commander Kehu currently in the lead. Bring the camera back down here. Oh! Habel Kuki just blasted ahead into first place. It is a battle between them and Commander Kehu. We got a large field coming here, everyone. We're going to stick with the leaders here. We're going to stick with the leaders. Commander Kehu currently in the lead, going down the final straightaway. It's a good time to use your boosts if you got them. Here comes that dangerous ramp, and Commander K, who is he going to stick the landing? Oh, he stuck it. He stuck it. Habalkuki just went off the course. That is unfortunate. Unfortunate, if I can talk here. All right, Commander Kehu, let's get back here towards the finish line. Looks like it's going to be Commander Kehu, possibly, unless something bad happens. Oh, it's Commander Kehu for the win. Congratulations, Commander Kehu. You are the semifinalist. Your name will go into the random wheel of names as well. Let's let this run for a few more seconds here as we watch people come across that finish line. Commander Kehu. Now, while people are finishing up here, let me remind everybody, if you win the random wheel of names and you win the helmet pack, you have 2 days to get in touch with me via Discord, StarJump_Grim on Discord. You have 2 days to get a hold of me to claim your prize. If you don't, it will go to the runner-up. Okay, so if you're the Twitch winner, so Commander Kehu, if you win the random wheel of names, you can whisper me on Twitch. However, Letasatillo, if you win from over there on YouTube, if you win, you do need to contact me via Discord, okay? Do need to contact me via Discord. All right, we got a couple people pulling up the rear. Oh my gosh, StarJump Grim's in the far rear. Terrible, terrible. All right, 6 more seconds here, everybody. Then we will do the random wheel of names. Gin and Tonic's always at the back of the pack, but you know what, Gin and Tonic? You're keeping it on lockdown down there, back there, and I like that. I like that. Okay, let's go to the random wheel of names. It is, let's see, CMDR Kehu is our semifinalist from Stream Racers. We're going to duplicate this a few times to make the random wheel of name a little bit more interesting. Okay, and we're going to spin it. Good luck to those of you, both of you that became semifinalists. Again, you have 2 days to contact me. Okay, let me go ahead and get my windows pop back up here. All right, here you go. I'm going to spin in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good luck. Commander Kehu. Commander Kehu over on Twitch. Nice work, Commander Kehu. If you want to whisper me, if you want to whisper me on Twitch, you can just shoot me a whisper, say hello, and I'll get you sorted a little bit later this evening with your prize. So Commander Kehu, please hit me up, whisper me via Twitch. Now, real quick here, before we call it a night, I am going to get to a few questions. So let's go ahead and pull those up. Congratulations, Kehu. All right, let's do a few questions here. We're going to keep these lean and mean here. Raygun972 says, question, do you think the incoming Forge from CNOW will have base building capabilities? I think it's going to be more crafting fabrication, but I don't think it's going to be building fabrication. I think it's going to be smaller things. So no, I'm going to say crafting focus. Ticorico says, I like comparing SC ships to other things in terms of scale. Will you add a measuring tool that doesn't disappear and or scaling for cut PNGs in the Fleet Viewer 2.0? Yes, we will. Well, no, let me not say yes. I'll try. I'll talk to Starlet. We'll see if we can add a measuring stick that stays up and doesn't disappear. Maybe that's a toggle or something we can do. Starlet may be watching the stream right now too, so it may be something she knows offhand. So. European Hardware Enjoyer says, question, when are we going to see the updated version of Fleet Viewer come online, and how's it going to affect the Hanger Link part of it? Love when you have X and Algrid on the show. Cheers. Thank you very much. And again, everyone, if you don't like when other people pop on the show, I am sorry. Again, we're all friends. You know, a lot of the other people that do this, and sometimes it's fun just to pop in each other's shows. I wouldn't take it too seriously. Now, here's what I will say about Hanger Link. It'll probably go live in a few weeks, but if you want to check out the beta, you can check out the beta at this link here. You can go to that link there, and that Hanger Link beta web, you can go there and try it out for yourself. VG says, do you think we'll get the Kraken before the BMM? Yes, much longer before the BMM. Brown Eye Official says, will they have air shields on the side entries? I'm assuming you mean those hangars. No, I think it's supposed to be doors, but when the doors open, there probably will be an air shield there. That makes sense, so that it's not venting. So yeah, I would think there's probably some air shield there. Seymour Brown Eye says, will the... Oh, nope, I answered that one already. Sorry. VG says, question, Kraken Privateer could do with some crafting stations, given that's a market bazaar. Absolutely agree. And again, the nice thing is the crafting stations, you can move in, you know, to any ship, which is kind of nice. Zeta Udan says, question, could they make the hangars a module and one that is and make a refinery module, since the Golem is the same length and height of the Buccaneer? It's possible. I mean, personally, I hope the Kraken does get some industrial support stuff, maybe like a very small refinery or something. I think that would be nice. I don't think they're going to do that, though, unless they made a kit, an industrial kit that allowed the Kraken to focus more into that industrial support role. That's possible. Let's see here. Cal Doom says, what would an F8 Lightning look like on the extra small pad? I don't have the 3D things opened up anymore, but it does fit. It does fit. I can tell you that. Michelangelo says, what fits in the hangars of the Kraken? It's any extra small ship, possibly some small ships. So think Buccaneer size, Anvil Arrow, Buccaneer, stuff like that can fit pretty well in there. Architect TV says, here's the real question. The Orion is miles longer than the Reclaimer. Do we think there will be an offshoot of the Orion at this point for salvage? It's possible. I could see them doing that just to give the Orion some additional use cases beyond just mining. It would make it appeal to more players. It's going to be a big ship, a big development undertaking. So just from a pure efficiency sake, it makes sense for CIG to do a variant like that, personally. Let's see here. What do we got here? I50mm says, will they redo the interior of the Mole with this new Salvager version? The interior is awful. You know, I can't remember the interior of the Mole, but I would assume it's getting some updates, and we could see those updates filter into the Mole as well. So possibly, I would like to see that, though, because I do agree with you. It's been a while since I've been there, but I remember it being not my favorite interior. Wolf Blitzer says, Zeus is only 120 disc question, better. Let's see, 1 second. Maybe that's not a question. Draco says, will the Kraken fit a ballista in the cargo elevator? Yes, it will. It does. It fits Nova. It can fit like 4 Nova tanks, to give you an idea of the elevator size. Do you think the concept of it fits, it sits will apply to rearm, refuel for larger ships? Yes, I do think that applies to larger ships. As long as it fits, it sits, it'll get access to the repair, rearm, and refuel stuff, I think. At least that's what I think. Kraken base builder, that's from Draco. Yeah, I'd love to see the Kraken. I'd love to see one more variant of the Kraken or some additional kits that you can get, like conversion kits that you could get for the Kraken. Maybe that one focuses on industrial gameplay, one focuses on combat support, that kind of stuff I think would be kind of cool. Wolf Blitzer says, how much cargo do you think will be in the Hermes? I think like 96 or something like that, 98, 96, something like that. But I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see. I guess it all depends on like how it sits in there. I don't know. I might need to do some looking into that. Might need to do some looking into that. And that's the questions. That is the questions. Okay, everybody. We're going to find someone to raid. Okay, we're going to find someone to raid. Let's look at who we got. Let's look at who we got. As a matter of fact, I know who we're going to raid. I know who we're going to raid. They raided me not too awful long ago, so we're going to send them a little love. Everyone on YouTube, everyone on Twitch, thank you for coming out and hanging out tonight. It's just a fun little stream to hang out, shoot the shit, talk about some of these updates. I didn't get to the In Case You Missed It sale, but that is live on the website if you want to try to pick up any ships that were going for sale this past year. So definitely look at that. I don't really cover a lot of the sale stuff, but it's there. For the rest of you, though, hopefully I survived this storm, and you should look for another stream definitely on Tuesday of next week, possibly on Sunday of this week. It just sort of depends on how the storm goes. So everyone, I hope you have a great night. I'm going to send you over to Love on GFan. Make sure you give him some StarJump love. Those of you on YouTube, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for all the follows, the subscriptions, the support, everyone. It really, really does mean a lot to me. You are my community. I wouldn't do this without you. I love you. I do appreciate it. All right, sending you over to Love on GFan now. Please give him some StarJump love. Everyone, salute to you. Have a great night. Talk to you later.